thinking, I came to 5 points of evidence that show and support the existence of God. I'm sure there are many more, but these are the ones that stood out the most to me. What's up, guys? My name is Dodgen, and welcome to the Relentless Joe, your average Joe relentlessly seeking Christ. On my previous video for the series called Truth, I delved into the topic of, is truth subjective or objective? And through my observation of reality and logical thinking, I came to the conclusion that for truth to be called true, it has to be objective and not be influenced by any inconsistent factors, such as natural law. Gravity, the law of gravity, stays true regardless of how I feel or even if I exist or not. It will stay true. If you want to explore that video, I will put the link for the video in the description. For this video, I am exploring, is there an objective truth for the existence of God? Is there any logical, measurable, or observable evidence that points to the existence of God? And through my experience of reality, through my research into the natural universe, and through logical thinking, I came to 5 points of evidence that show and support the existence of God. I'm sure there are many more, but these are the ones that stood out the most to me. Firstly, morality. Without the existence of God, there is no such thing as objective morality. Let's backtrack a little. What is objective and subjective? Objective is information based in facts, reality, and evidence. Subjective is information based in opinion, feeling, and emotions. Objective morality. What is morality? Morality is the principles that determine the difference between good and bad. Objective morality is the idea that the inherent knowing of what is good and bad is factual, not determined by opinion. Without God, there can be no such thing as objective morality. Some would believe that morality is reliant or determined by society or even evolution. But if this is true, then morality is subjective. I say so because if today society or evolution determines that it is bad to step on babies, but for whatever reason tomorrow they feel it is fine, they are not wrong, because morality is determined by what society or evolution deems to be moral. But because we inherently know that it is bad to step on babies or to steal or lie or cheat, all these moral traits, it points to someone has put in those moral laws into place outside of society, which points to God. Without God, something like morality cannot exist, because it is relative to how we feel. So if I feel that it's bad to kill someone, but the next person feels it's okay to do so, none of us is wrong or right, because there is no higher lawgiver that put the standard into place of good and bad, regardless of what society deems to be good or bad. Just because society deems something to be good or bad does not make it objectively true. It just makes it society's opinion. Secondly, the law of cause and effect. This law states that for every action, there is a consequence. Our natural universe is the consequence of the action. Some call it the Big Bang. I would like to refer to it as the beginning. The beginning is the action that caused the consequence of our natural universe. Math tells us that our universe is not infinite. It is something that is finite, meaning that it will have an end, which states that it had a beginning. So then what put this action of the beginning into motion? The theory of the Big Bang states that nothing brought into existence something, our natural universe. Now, we have no scientific evidence or experiments that prove that nothing can bring something into existence. To follow the theory that our natural universe came from nothing is to say that whatever started our natural universe acted in a way that is not in accord with our natural law that we can measure, meaning that whatever started it acted in a non-natural way, a supernatural way, if you will, in order to have brought our natural world into existence. Now, God is a supernatural being, a supernatural something that brought our natural world, which is something, into existence, because something always has to come from something. Thirdly, design demands a designer. If we take any wonderful invention, no one would believe that for the computer to have come into existence, someone took metal, plastic, and some wires, put them in a bag, and shook them long enough, and voila, out popped a functioning computer with programs and everything. No, the complex design of the computer points to an intelligent, intentional designer who put the computer together. So why do we leave such complex designs, such as ecosystems and the human brain, up to chance? The complex design of our natural universe, for everything to have worked so perfectly together, points to an intelligent designer that designed these complexities. I mean, for if our planet was 1 centimeter closer to the sun, it would have burned. If it was 1 centimeter away from the sun, it would have frozen. These things are so perfectly put together that it can't have happened by chance. That points to an intelligent mind behind the design, which is God. Fourthly, life comes from life. The law of biogenesis states, in our material, natural world, life comes from previously existing life of its own kind. This is an evidence-based finding in our natural universe. In all the evidence gathered in our history of science, it all points to the fact that all life has stemmed from a previous existing life. If we take the theory of the Big Bang and evolution, it states that the natural universe came from nothing and that life stemmed from non-living things. But there is no experimental evidence to base fact onto this statement, and all experiments to try to prove this has failed miserably. And it only points more to the conclusion and to the evidence that all life stemmed from life. Our life as we know it, as the natural universe, stemmed from some previous living thing before the beginning, before our natural universe came into existence, and that living thing is a living God. And finally, free will. If we take the evolutional point of view, that means that our brains are just a bunch of chemical reactions happening constantly, meaning that any decision made does not come from a free will point of view, but rather from a chemical-based reaction point of view. That means that nobody can actually be held accountable for any of their actions because chemicals made me do it. That is if you are being atheistically, intellectually consistent. But if you, by your experience of life and your awareness of you making conscious decisions every single day, determine that it is not actually chemical reactions, but you consciously making those decisions based on reasoning and logic and past experiences, this determines that free will does exist. So now, because we determine that free will does exist, This means that it cannot be a chemical or animalistic evolutional standpoint. This unnatural consciousness of free will had to stem from a supernatural something that put that into existence. And that supernatural something that put the unnatural consciousness into existence is a supernatural God. This 5 evidences point to the existence of God. Now, from this point forward, we are going to explore, now that we have come to the conclusion that, okay, there's evidence to point to a God. Now, how do we know which God is true? Because there's so many different representations of God which states such radical differences of what and who God is. The fact that if God is true, one of them should be true. They can't all be true because all of them are so radically different in their expression of what they believe God to be. There must be an objective truth to who God says He is, and we are going to explore these by looking at the evidence for the reliability of some religions.